Snoopy and I have a couple of things in common. We're both made out of water, carbon, and nitrogen. And we both need a continuous supply of each in order to keep on surviving and living our daily lives. What's up, everyone? It's Mr. Marambo, and I'm coming at you with more science. Today, we will focus on the processes that make up the nitrogen cycle. So our Earth has this thing called an atmosphere that keeps all the important gases in the Earth. The atmosphere is primarily made out of this gas called nitrogen. That is the element our DNA is made up mostly, and we need a continuous supply of nitrogen in order to exist and keep on living. But the thing is, unlike carbon, we can't automatically use the nitrogen in the air. It just doesn't work that way because the bonds of nitrogen are too strong for us to break down. So we need something else to break down nitrogen in order for us to actually use nitrogen. This first step in the nitrogen cycle is called nitrogen fixation. This is when bacteria in the soil or the legumes of beans and plants, so these are plants, transform the air and the nitrogen into usable nitrogen in the soil. So bacteria in the soil, so let's pretend this is soil and there's bacteria in there, get the nitrogen from the air and fixate it. Nitrogen fixation is turning atmospheric nitrogen, so nitrogen in the air, into some usable nitrogen in the soil. And this is done by microorganisms, bacteria. Next on the nitrogen cycle is this phase called ammonification. So this bacteria grabs this nitrogen from the air and turns it into ammonia. So the bacteria in this phase transforms that stuff from the air into ammonium, which is a compound of nitrogen and hydrogen. This now makes it easier for other bacteria to transform ammonium into nitrite and nitrate. Nitrite being NO2, something that plants can use, a form of nitrogen plants can use, and nitrate, NO3, another form of nitrogen plants can use as well, and that can dissolve easily in water. So not only is nitrogen going into our biosphere, it is also permeating or going into our hydrosphere. And this phase of transforming ammonium from bacteria that transforms nitrogen into ammonium is called nitrification, transforming ammonium into nitrite and nitrate. So with ammonium, nitrite, and nitrate, plants are now able to use nitrogen in these forms. This process of plants absorbing this usable nitrogen from the bacteria is called assimilation. And autotrophs don't only get the nitrogen, heterotrophs do as well. Heterotrophs grab and get the nitrogen by consuming the autotrophs that get their nitrogen from the bacteria in the first or the second and third phases. That is assimilation. Autotrophs and heterotrophs getting their nitrogen from the bacteria. And like all living things, we eventually do die and decompose, which is another form of ammonification. When we die, we have a lot of nitrogen in us in the form of ammonia, which is not NH4, it is actually NH3. So when we die and start decomposing by fungi and bacteria, these fungi and bacteria turn the ammonia in our dead bodies into ammonium to go through the process of nitrification again. And thus nitrification and assimilation continue going because of dead organisms in another process of ammonification. Lastly, in the nitrogen cycle, we have bacteria transforming our nitrite and nitrate into atmospheric nitrogen. So in step 6, denitrification is this bacteria turning nitrite and nitrate back into atmospheric nitrogen, which is nitrogen in the air, and the most abundant element, nitrogen, in our atmosphere. So that is a step-by-step process of how the nitrogen cycle works in our world. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to one another and me, but then I'll see you in the next video. Take care of each other and take care of yourself.